President Biden is touring the West Coast for the first time since taking office. Earlier, he met with local fire agency officials in Boise, Idaho. He also surveyed damage from the Caldor fire in Sacramento, California. In remarks, the president tied the West's increasingly treacherous wildfires to global warming. He pushed for passing his spending plans, which include funding to upgrade infrastructure and address climate change.
We have a global warming problem, a serious global warming problem, and it's consequential. And what's going to happen is things aren't going to go back to what they were. It's not like you can build back to what it was before. It's not going to get any better than it is today. It only can get worse. My message to you is, when we build back, we have to build back better. It's not a Democrat thing. It's not a Republican thing. It's a weather thing. It's a reality. It's serious. And we can do this. We can do this. And in the process, building back, we can create jobs, not lose jobs. We can create jobs.
President Biden campaigns on behalf of Governor Gavin Newsom in Long Beach Monday. Newsom is facing a recall election after a petition to oust him garnered more than 1.5 million signatures. Back in Washington, the FBI released what could be the first of many declassified documents related to the alleged role the Saudi government played in the 9/11 attacks. Most of the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. The release of the documents late Saturday came at the request of President Biden. Saudi Arabia has long denied any role in the attacks. On Monday, members of Congress held a remembrance ceremony to honor the first responders and victims 20 years later.
Many gave their lives for strangers, inspired by a sense of duty and of love for others. It is impossible not to admire them.
My friends, the world has not been the same since the attacks of September 11th. The loss of that day can never be fully recovered.
Plus, Democrats are unveiling how they plan to pay for the president's sweeping $3.5 trillion social spending plan. It largely relies on taxing wealthy individuals and businesses. They're hoping for a House vote by the end of the month, but divisions between moderates and progressives are threatening the plan's long-term prospects. Adding to the money fight, Republicans say they will not raise the debt ceiling, despite doing so under former President Trump. Finally, lawmakers are questioning members of the Biden administration about the end of the war in Afghanistan. Last month, the Taliban swiftly toppled the U.S.-backed government following the withdrawal of American troops. Testifying before the House Committee on Foreign Affairs Monday, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the outcome was inevitable.
There's no evidence that staying longer would have made the Afghan security forces or the Afghan government any more resilient or self-sustaining. If 20 years and hundreds of billions of dollars in support, equipment, and training did not suffice, why would another year, another 5, another 10?
For more, let's bring in Nancy Cortez, Courtney Subramanian, and Nicholas Wu. Nancy is CBS News chief White House correspondent. Courtney is a White House correspondent for USA Today. And Nicholas is a congressional reporter for Politico. Welcome to all of you. Nancy, let me start with you. President Biden's approval rating is down. Who stands to benefit more from this California visit, Governor Newsom or the president?
Hey, Elaine. Well, most immediately, it's probably Governor Newsom. He's the one whose political career is on the line this week, although recent polls have shown that he is likely to hold on to his job as governor, which is probably why the president felt so comfortable waiting until the last minute to go out there and campaign for Governor Newsom. But let's face it, California is fertile territory for President Biden as well. It's a blue state. He knows he'll get a warm reception there, but he's really using this trip not just to stump for Governor Newsom, someone who is most likely to hang on to his job, but also to kind of barnstorm the West and make the case for this trillions of dollars that he wants to spend on infrastructure and other big priorities. He was making the case for the packages in Idaho today. He's also going to stump for this legislation in California. And then tomorrow, he's going to take that message to Colorado before coming home to the White House. So really barnstorming the West, trying to argue that all Democrats should stick together and pass this legislation.
And Courtney, Nancy touched on this, but polls suggest Californians increasingly oppose recalling Governor Newsom. So if he wins, why might that obscure potential trouble for Democrats in the 2022 midterms?
Well, I think if Governor Newsom is able to hang on, how big of a margin his win is could have an impact on how things play out in the midterms. If he wins by a smaller margin, that could signal some voter frustration with recent Democratic policies and potentially rattle some more moderate Democrats ahead of 2022, which could in turn, of course, affect maybe how they vote on the president's infrastructure plans, particularly the spending package, which touches on what the White House has called human infrastructure priorities like childcare and education. But I think the other issue here, of course, is COVID. And, polling late last month showed it was the top issue on the ballot for California residents, and how Newsom does could serve as a barometer for how voters view the Democrats' pandemic response. And that's something the White House is paying attention to, especially with Biden's announcement of the new vaccine requirements last week. And if he's not able to meet these goals of getting the pandemic under control and reviving the economy, two goals his aides have repeatedly said they believe will determine the outcome of the midterm elections, then Democrats could be, in real trouble next year.
And we'll talk more about the pandemic response later in the show. But Nicholas, over the weekend, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin once again voiced his disapproval of the president's next spending proposal. Let's listen to some of that.
He will not have my vote on 3.5, and Chuck knows that. And we've talked about this. We've already put out $5.4 trillion, and we've tried to help Americans in every way we possibly can. And a lot of the help that we put out there is still there, and it's going to run clear until next year, 2022. What's the urgency? What's the urgency that we have?
But what's the overall number for the budget bill?
I think that you're going to have to look at it and find out what you're able to do through a reasonable, responsible way.
So then how do you know that it's not 3.5?
It's going to be at 1, 1.5. We don't know where it's going to be.
So you think ballpark 1.5?
It's not going to be at 3.5, I can assure you.
Nicholas, it's interesting to listen to that exchange. What do we know about Democrats' plans to pay for the $3.5 trillion bill and its prospects to move ahead?
Well, how exactly they're going to pay for it is still very much a work in progress. Democratic-controlled committees in the House are currently working up all of their sections of this massive, could be $3.5 trillion social spending bill this week, and there's a goal of getting that all wrapped up by Wednesday. And in particular, the pay-forward part of it is something that the Tax Writing Ways and Means Committee is dealing with right now. And Democrats, as we mentioned earlier in the show, are trying to figure out how exactly they're going to hike taxes to pay for this. And what we're looking at to do so are some of the largest tax changes and increases we've seen in decades, increases to the corporate tax, increases to the top income tax bracket, and many more changes to the tax code that will really undo a lot of the changes that Republicans put into place the last time they were in power in Congress. But all that being said, what's really going to be driving the bus here are going to be these moderates in the House and Senate, these pivotal votes who will control what policies pass or which policies fail. And we're going to see that process play out over the next couple of weeks as Democrats race to get this package finished.
And on that front, Nancy, what are you hearing? What's the White House doing to move the president's proposal forward?
Well, White House officials say they are in regular contact, not just with congressional leaders, but with some of these Democratic holdouts as well, that the president himself is willing to make calls. And look, at this point, they're pretty familiar with this dance that they do with Senator Manchin. They have been through this on multiple other pieces of legislation. He's been a holdout before. So, they're used to having to make these phone calls to talk this through with him and with others to try to figure out what he'd be willing to accept. The challenge here is it isn't just the moderate holdouts. If they do bring the numbers down to about half the size of the package they're pushing for now in order to get Manchin on board, there are going to be howls of frustration from the left, progressives who want this big package. In fact, they want it to be even bigger than it is now. That is what is so challenging. And now on top of all of that, the president has to sort of get out there and campaign for not just the contents of these big packages, but also the pay-fors that Nicholas just mentioned. The hiking of the corporate tax rate, the hiking of the tax rate for the wealthiest individual Americans as well. So it is a very delicate dance. And while you still have Democratic leaders say they'd like to get this all done by the end of September, that's going to be really, really tricky.
I know, September 13th, here we are, so not much time left on that front. Nicholas, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the government may run out of emergency funding within weeks if Republicans refuse to raise the debt ceiling. Is a government shutdown coming?
Well, every few years, Congress goes through this particularly delicate and dangerous dance over what to do with government funding and the debt ceiling. Failing to do anything on either of those really has particularly terrible consequences for the government. If the debt ceiling is not raised, the government could default on some of its obligations, and we could see a lot of economic ramifications from that. Now, what Congress is going to do about that kind of remains to be seen. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said earlier today that he did want action on the debt ceiling and actually wanted the business community to lean on Republicans to raise that, something that Republicans have so far really expressed any reluctance to do. So Democrats instead are trying to push forward on what could be somewhat of a risky strategy, attaching this debt ceiling increase to a government funding bill, a must-pass bill that could be coming through both chambers towards the end of the month. And with Republicans dug in pretty firmly against raising the debt ceiling, this is going to be something particularly hard for Democrats to do.
Well, on the pandemic, Courtney, late last week, the president did something he previously shied away from, mandated vaccinations. Help us understand the context here, and what has the political backlash been?
Yeah, so the president has, announced the most aggressive push so far that they've taken on trying to get, more Americans vaccinated. The political backlash, of course, has been big, especially among Republicans who are, looking for an issue to galvanize their supporters on ahead of midterms and even the presidential election in 2024. And these vaccine mandates have emerged as that lightning rod for Republicans, particularly the requirement for businesses with more than 100 employees to require their staffs to be vaccinated or undergo weekly testing. Republicans see this as an infringement on personal freedoms. The RNC has vowed to sue the administration, and other GOP leaders have followed suit. At least 20 Republican governors have publicly, come out and opposed these mandates since they were announced. And we even saw 3, GOP officials who are weighing a 2024 run this weekend at a Nebraska fundraiser sort of step into the fray and sharply criticize the Biden administration on it. The president, for his part, has brushed off this criticism. He was asked about it on Friday, and he said, have at it. The White House believes that he has the authority to impose these requirements and that they're on solid legal footing. But I think the administration is also betting that the public is on their side on this one. Nationwide polling does suggest that Americans are generally supportive of vaccine requirements for workers and students and in public settings. And again, the Biden administration is trying to, reach these 80 million eligible Americans who have yet to receive a vaccine dose amid this ongoing anxiety over the Delta variant. And especially, as I mentioned earlier, the Biden administration understands that he needs to get the pandemic under control, and this is the latest step they're taking to try and address that.
Meantime, Nancy, the first House hearings on the withdrawal from Afghanistan began today. Here is Republican Congressman Michael McCaul of Texas addressing the Secretary of State earlier.
The freedoms our troops help secure for Afghan women and girls have been stripped away in a matter of weeks. This, in my judgment, is not only disgraceful, it also dishonors the men and women who served our nation so bravely. Mr. Secretary, the American people don't like to lose, especially not to the terrorists. But that is exactly what has happened. And so we are here today to better understand how this administration got it so wrong.
So, Nancy, how is Secretary Blinken framing the withdrawal?
Well, as you could hear from that clip, Elaine, it has been a really tense hearing. The secretary has gotten a barrage of questions from Republican lawmakers in particular about the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, who they want to know why the U.S. was caught so off guard by how quickly the Taliban was able to retake the country, why there wasn't a more robust plan in place from the very beginning to evacuate U.S. personnel and Afghan partners, and on and on. Why didn't the U.S. hold on to Bagram Air Force Base until the very last moment? And what Secretary Blinken has basically been arguing over and over again is that he doesn't, first of all, he hasn't copped to any major mistakes. He has chosen to tout the 100,000 Americans and Afghans that the U.S. was able to evacuate. He has argued that the Biden administration essentially was handed a timeline for withdrawal from the Trump administration, but no plan for that withdrawal. And that has only served to frustrate Republicans more. They are looking for him to concede that mistakes were made. They're calling for more investigations. They're calling for more hearings. They are hitting him for failing to come and testify in person. He's obviously, as you can see from that clip, testifying remotely from the State Department, which is just a couple of miles away from the U.S. Capitol. And in some cases, they are even blaming him and the Biden administration more broadly for the fact that the U.S. lost more than a dozen service members at the Kabul airport while conducting those evacuations. So a very, very tense hearing.
Yeah, contentious hearing to be sure. Nancy Cordes, Courtney Subramanian, and Nicholas Wu, thank you all very much.